things don't have to be technically perfect. Like Persian rugs had to have a flaw in them for them to be considered like, you know, because we're not God. Like you can't make anything perfect. So we're going to intentionally put this flaw in.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Just started off Rogan style, and we're live. So what's going on, man?
Man, just trying to get this EP done, man. Like, it's done. It's just all the little bits and pieces, like the final business details.
Who's EP?
1/4.
Ah, yeah.
Getting 1/4's EP just finalized. It's ready to go. Like, production-wise, it's all done. Videos have been filmed, just in the final stages of editing. And then, Rebecca's looking, like Becca Hatch, another artist I manage. She's looking to release some new music soon. And then my other artist, I Am Solo, is releasing like some music soon.
Jeez, this is a big one for you, huh? We had Becca on one of ours the other week, actually.
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, way more energy. Like, I mean, I've never met her before. Like, I was just like, I don't know, you never know what you're gonna get. And, like, she was so bubbly and
100%.
really cool to meet.
She's got the energy, you know what I mean? Like, she always brings like a real happy energy into the room. So
Yeah, she was fun.
Definitely. No, she was awesome.
But run us through. You know what? Actually, let's just do the intro.
Should we do the
Do the intro? You can tell we're still waking up.
It's too early. It's Monday.
it is Monday, man. This is like the artist's day off.
Yeah, 100%. All right, welcome back to Fresh and Get Zesty, guys, the #1 music podcast in the world.
Facts.
Where we give you the tips and the tricks to get you famous.
Facts as well.
Today with us,
and make
we've
sure you
got-
subscribe too, guys.
Oh,
by the
yeah,
way.
true.
Yeah, we keep forgetting
That's
that.
super important.
Hit the subscribe button because we keep forgetting.
Yeah. Today on the podcast, we have Uncle Rick, as everybody knows him. Thank you for coming on, man.
No,
It's,
my pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Uncle Rick, why is that?
I got the name off my nephew. He obviously Uncle Rick, but it just stuck. Like, I just was that person who was willing to help someone move their house, take care of, babysit the kids.
Yeah.
I've just always been sort of that person. I think maybe I had my early career was hospitality industry, and so just that idea of always being in service to other people, and it kind of just stuck. I guess like that's how I made friends. I guess.
Yeah.
Automatically, yeah, that's cool though. That's like, you need nicknames like Chunkyluv.
Yeah.
100%. Is that
It sticks.
Yeah, that I got that in hospitality as well.
Really?
Yeah. A dude that worked at a bar. Like, so I worked at Palmer & Co. and then Mr. Wong's was right next door.
Yeah.
Then I
Oh,
was,
you work at Palmer & Co.
yeah.
Yeah, we both have.
Yeah, right.
I was playing some music while I was setting up, and he walked through and he's like, "Hey man, this is some cool stuff. Like, this is some chunky love." I was like, "Done."
And that's how it
Take
stuck.
That's how it took. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Chunkyluv from Palmer & Co.
Yeah. So I used to write on all the walls in Palmer & Co.
Just Chunkyluv.
Yeah. Hashtag chunky love.
And
then
that's
it's
the
just-
common thread that we have then, like the hospo industry. Eh?
Yeah.
I feel like anyone in any arts has always done some sort of hospitality for
true
sure.
that, true
it's always that side hustle, I guess.
Yeah,
Because
it
the
gives
hours,
you free
the hours
mish.
gives you that freedom to do
Yeah,
everything else.
for sure. That's for sure.
Would you going back to like that always like taking care of people and in that service industry and like your Uncle Rick nickname, is that what sort of led you into the management path, or is that?
I guess. I mean, I guess it did definitely play its role. Like, my parents were those type of people to start with.
Yeah.
And so that sort of gave me the groundwork to feel like that's how I could fit into the service industry really easy.
Yeah.
But then, like, I guess I was a flight attendant for 5 years, and I think from flying, I really saw a lot of different types of people, and
Yeah, sure.
in that kind of environment, and like different podcasts that I listened to, like Gary Vee and guys like Seth Godin, Simon Sinek.
Great author as well. I've read all his books.
Yeah, like they always talk about like having a business that's putting yourself in the role of a service. Like, a great leader or is as differentiated to a boss is someone who finds a way to put people's needs ahead of themselves and serve that need. And I think my approach to the music industry was the same. It was like, I'm here to work for the artist, not necessarily to be the person in front of the camera or to have that attention. I'm naturally like a pretty shy person, like a private person. So having the artist in front totally suits me, and pushing them to the forefront and letting them sort of shine is what I see my role is.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, because that's what we always sort of seems to be the common thread when we talk to people, that like why management and why artists, you know? Was it Soiree was on the other like a few months ago, and he was saying like his management were like, look, we can't sing, we can't write music, we like music, so we're going to do this side of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to start out as an A&R. Like that was my actual thing. Like the management thing wasn't necessarily where I thought I was going to start.
Yeah.
But getting a job as an A&R, not having studied music, not having gone to any sort of like management course or anything like that, it wasn't like something that I thought was actually possible. And then a friend of mine, he's a booking agent for William Morris Endeavour. He's past a booking agent now. He's a partner of the company. But when he was starting out there, he would send artists out here from the US or from Europe, and he was like, you know, can you just help me out? Like, can you find them some weed, some food, some like places to party?
Weed
like,
first, food second.
Yeah. I'm like,
typical artists.
Yeah, 100%. Like I can do that. And I figured, all right, cool. Like that's a way to get my foot in. And before you knew it, like, yeah, I was that guy he called to get that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just from being around it a lot, and being around different artists and finding a way just to be useful, you started to see what each artist kind of needed, or like how you could help. And I think that's a great attitude to have from the get-go. How can I help? What's a simple way that I can help and just be useful? Once you're useful, people want you around.
Yeah.
And then so you start to pick up different things, and how you want to learn from that, I guess, is really up to you.
Yeah, because that is a very important thing. There's like networking crews as well, and that's the thing they always say is like, you know, create value first. I think because definitely today everyone's all about receive, and then they want, you know, it's sort of like they come in pitching first. Like I'm sure you've met plenty of artists who come in and first conversation they have with you, it's like, you want to sign me? Like this is why I am good. This is why I am good. Versus, you know, I think we've spoken many times, like maybe having an approach of figuring out the person first, figuring out how you can give them value. And I've heard like, you know, Gary Vee does jab, right hook, like give, ask. Another guy I heard he goes 3, but that's his whole thing. It's like, how much do I give? Because then eventually it will always come back, because humans innately don't like being indebted to people. Yeah, 100%. You know, but it also has that double effect where if you are genuinely a person who wants to give, it just, you know, one it's super useful, because then people do want to give back to you. But 2, people can see it's genuine. Yeah. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm going to give you this on the proviso you know, scratch my back as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like Simon Sinek's a guy I'm a huge fan of, and he wrote a book like about purpose and understanding why you're in it. But I think it was, it's Simon Sinek as well. He says like profit is it should never be your end goal. It's a byproduct of doing great work, and your actual, what you should actually be thriving for is the opportunity to do great work. And once I understood that, I was like, oh, I just have to put myself in a situation where I can do my best work. And over the years, I found that, oh, actually, yeah, you do need money to do your best work. You do need like a stable working environment, or, you know, structure to do your best work. You do need to be around people with a positive mindset to do your best work. And for me, it's always been, I want the money, but what is that money being put to work to?
Yeah,
for sure. What is that helping me to do? Is it helping me to help an artist, you know, record their best song? Is it to put together a marketing plan that's exciting and engaging? Is it creating a brand that, you know, really engages and emotionally affects people? Like, what is it that I'm trying to do with this money? If it's just to meet your daily needs, or it's to have this goal, you want to buy a house for yourself or your parents or whatever it is, like be honest with yourself. Why do you want the money?
Yeah.
But the money alone isn't going to give you
Yeah.
the satisfaction or the results that you want.
Yeah, know the layer below the I guess the quantitative, know the qualitative underneath it.
Yeah, 100%.
Because a lot of people are happier 100% with less, but they think, oh, if I have 100 grand a year coming in, or then I will be happy. You know, but if you're chasing that, for sure, like it's a problem, because then you realize you're never really quite like happy. Like there's people that are super happy making 50 grand a year, and then there's people that are super depressed making $500,000 a year.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
Like
it's
at
all-
what cost does that
Yeah.
$500,000 or $1 million or 100 grand come at? Like, are you being yourself? Are you true to yourself? You know, like, I think a lot of people's anxieties come from lying to themselves and then trying to cover those lies and constantly cover those lies. Whereas, like, you know, if you don't need 100 grand to live off, that's cool. Like, if you want 100 grand, but your living expenses is 300 grand a year, you're going to constantly feel unhappy. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you go into that as well with the artists that you manage? Like, it's ONEFOUR, I Am Solo, and Becca Hatch. They're the three you got, is it? Yeah. Do you go into those sort of talks with them as well as a manager and a friend? Or like, what sort of, I guess, emotional support do you give them?
Definitely as friends. Like, well, they like, Becca Hatch was an interesting one because she started off. I found her through a program I did with FBI Ready called Tracks, and she was one of the attendees that came through. But just from we talked for like on and off for maybe like almost close to 2 years before I started working with her, and it was just giving her advice, saying like, you know, try this, try this, try this, and she followed all those things. And as we started to get closer, like I developed a natural friendship with her.
Yeah.
She's like my younger sister or my niece, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you are uncle.
Yeah. And I think the role that I sort of saw with her is that she's very determined to try different things, and she's not scared. Like she's willing to always try something new. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, how about we try something new as an artist manager? Let me teach you how to manage yourself. Like, because it's your business at the end of the day.
100%.
No one knows how to run your business better than you. But if I can teach you, then we're a doubly like effective team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that way I don't have to like take money off you to survive. Like, you can do all these things, but we can grow it kind of at a sustainable pace.
Yeah. So you're thinking more long term rather than the quick bag.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you got an unhealthy, unhappy artist, they're never going to produce their best work. So I always look at it as you're not just the business manager. Like I'm 41 now, and my artists are quite young. So you're also sharing life experience with them and saying, hey, these things happen. This is how I've dealt with it in the past. These are the things I've learned from my mistakes. And you just naturally want to pass that on to them so that they can learn. So, yeah, like, just to answer your question, like, you as a manager now, you are sort of an emotional shoulder to lean on. You're someone they come to for advice, not just in business, but in life in general. And I think if you can, I think that shows that, well, number one, that you genuinely care and you can be like sort of trusted.
Yeah.
But also that you're growing together, that you're willing to grow together, and that you're interested in seeing them develop as people rather than just as a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because definitely that fire underneath is what has to go up as well. It's like anything with like any business. A business with a shit culture pretty much drops pretty quick, and a business with a great culture thrives. So
For sure.
approaching it the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the culture comes from the top, you know.
Yeah.
Like the culture is like, you hear about Uber all the time and the problems that they're having, and like you listen to like the problems that they have with the leader. And well, and you could tell like with Microsoft, it really didn't. With Apple, it didn't really take off until, you know, Steve
Jobs came in.
started to
Yeah. turn everything around.
Yeah.
Well, you think like Google's the same. Google's like known for its culture, which is crazy because like I mean, how can you have I find it so hard to believe a search engine thing would have
Yeah, a
a
company
culture,
that
but
large.
that it has such a like once people start working, it's very very rare that people want to leave. So with your, I mean, you touched on it with Becca, like it was more like big brother for, uncle first, giving value. We touched on it with her podcast as well. And it was sort of like, you guys tested each other out in a way. Like obviously you giving her advice, if she went and didn't do shit, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be like working with her, and obviously if she felt like you were just like, same thing, like work with me, she would have probably been like, I don't want to, but because it was that value first, she applied, it was that, teamwork.
Yeah.
With ONEFOUR, how did you sort of develop that relationship?
Yeah, that again was like, it took time. Like, so I met them in 2017. I met some of them. And then it wasn't until 2018 that Hal brought them into the studio. He made contact with them and started working with them at the Sony Studios. And he asked me to come into those sessions and just sit in. At that time, I'd been working with the Kid Leroy, just sort of as a mentor, sitting behind Ziggy, who was his manager at the time. And so, yeah, I understood that I had a knack already for working with young people in particular, and just talking to them and giving them sort of just general advice about different perspectives on life or whatever. And so when Hal asked me to come into the studio, I just sat in and just listened. When people asked me a question, I gave my sort of 2 cents worth, but it was more just getting to know each other, just feeling each other out. And then I think it was August 2019 that I actually formally became their manager.
Yeah, so 2.5-ish years timeline from knowing till actually signing. Well, I don't know, you say signing or
No,
working with?
working with.
Yeah, I guess labels are more signing out there.
Yeah, it's more management. I mean, you may sign with a manager, but
I guess it sounds too businessy for what like we're talking about.
Well, yeah,
I
and
think
also,
like it's more like a relationship you guys work with.
Yeah, also, I mean, if it's from a management company, then sure, you might sign with that management company. But if it's a person, just like one person, it's just, they're now my manager.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a signing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a management company by any means. Like
So you're like the E for, Entourage?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Definitely that.
We've got a modern day E.
I kind of like to think of it that way. Like, I'm there as an uncle. Like, whatever you need from me, just come and ask. If I can't do it, I'll tell you I can't do it, but I can probably, where it comes from? Being a concierge.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If you can't do it, you'll find somebody or you'll organize something that can be done.
Yeah. And that's what I sort of equate it to. It's like every role that I played in the hospitality industry was almost like a concierge. Even when I was a flight attendant, it was like, oh, hey, you're going to this city, these are the places to hit. Like, I got a friend in this shop, he'll take care of you. He's a cool guy to show you the city.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same way with that I work with music. It's like, I don't know everything about music. To be honest, I probably know very little compared to some of the, the people that I look up to. However, I sure as hell know someone who can. Like, I know a Chunkyluv, I know a Willstar, I know a Solo, I know, these different people who can help you on your journey. And I think what my strength is bringing those teams together and having them work to the same vision and saying, hey, here's what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
You in.
Yeah.
Here's how I can help you, and understanding what you need from this experience. Like, for example, when we started first working with you.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. It was like, how do you feel? The question you asked me, which I think I said in Beck's thing, was like, how do you feel about collaborating with other producers? And I was like, man, if it gets us to the goal that we're trying to get to, I'm down. Like, whatever makes the best product that we're trying to achieve. And that's, I think that's a super, super important way to think about music. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we do so much better as a team rather than as in individuals.
Yeah, 100%.
We don't know all the things.
I think, it kind of be a bit little scary for some managers if they're not, like the be all and end all.
The controlling puppeteer
Yeah,
sort of
because
thing.
like you might invest so much time into developing an artist, and then that artist gets picked up and signed by someone else.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
But I think if you develop a relationship with your artist where both of you are growing, if you're open from the get go
beginning.
and say, hey, I don't know everything, however, I'm here for, I'm listening to you, and I understand what your needs are, and here's what I'm going to try to do to meet your needs. These are my needs, and this is what we need to do to meet my needs. But let's give it time and let's let it grow.
Yeah.
And I guess that takes a certain level of experience, or even like knowing that you're not in control of everything. Like you can put a piece of paper out there and say, here, sign this.
Yeah.
But if your artist isn't happy, like
There's always a way to break a contract.
100%.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it times.
I guess on that note, like how, because Solo he has his own artist thing, but he's also a producer and an engineer, and I guess that's also some of the things that you manage him for as well. Like do you like do some of that sort of stuff, like in terms of like, you know, taking care of the admin and things behind the mixing jobs and production jobs as well as the artistry?
Yeah, I mean, like it's with Solo, like the artistry, he's totally in charge of.
Yeah.
Like that's
his thing.
He knows it better than anyone else. Like
Yeah.
you know, like you've worked with Soul, he's like a one-stop shop for
Yeah,
everything. And
100%.
so like, it's more for me, I think, with Solo, it's helping him to cultivate a business that helps him do his artistry and his solo thing independently, without having to like, you know, sell off his masters or like, you know, anything like that. It's like, how do I help you build a business with all your other skill sets that helps you to build your own like artist profile and brand?
For sure. That's awesome. How different, I guess, is the approach to something like that compared to like ONEFOUR and Becca, like in terms of like focusing on his skills in production and mixing and mastering, and is it just different conversing with different people, or do you take a different approach to how you network? That's what I mean. He's got his own name as well, so I guess it's he's semi-established in that way, and people know him for some of his work, especially for the ONEFOUR stuff and Becca stuff.
No, I don't think it's that different. Maybe it's more like at the moment it's more how much time I can dedicate to each of my artists. Like obviously right now ONEFOUR is moving really fast, and you know it's doing a lot of big things, and like I'm only one person. Like you've got limited energy, so I think at that time it's just more about communicating, saying, hey, in the middle of this project, like I'm gonna be like my energy is gonna be here.
Yeah,
we need to have either a timeline or a plan that you're happy with. That means that I can sustainably do like all the things that need to be done, and you fuck it up too. You mess it up. Like I've been lagging off Solo stuff, and you know he pulled me up on it, and we had to sit down and had a chat about it, and said, all right, cool, sorry, like you know I probably should have communicated this better. And so like I wouldn't say they're too different from each other, but each has their own personality, and you have to treat them as, you know, individuals.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it sounds to me like if anyone's going to take one thing away from this is two things: build your Rolodex. You know, find as many people as you know what they can do, know what they can give, know what they're after, and also then give that value. You know, like the more you you're like it feels like you're more of a connector and a big brother, and that's then therefore turned into a business as a result. Which, you know, you hear that from half the time, like with everything, basically. It's like, oh, you're looking for this? Here, I'll flick you that way. And now, because you've become that catalyst that's helped them go a certain way, not only have you helped one person, you've helped two and built two more points, like positive things in the bank for that relationship. So, obviously, that's the thing that takes a lot of time, and a lot of people, especially young ones, don't have that patience. You know? So what would you say with management, because this is let's start with the first one. Let's start with artists. When they're looking for a manager, what would be like 3 major things that they should look for besides the obvious things? Like, what have you found has been the most success for your management skill so far? Because you got 3 whales at the moment.
I think the first thing is like, I mean, I guess this is hard if you're a young artist, because you know, it's something I didn't learn until like I was much older as well. But like, what are the values that this person that could potentially be your manager runs their business and lives their life by? Because they kind of have to be consistent. So if you know, in their business they're like shysty and they're like not particularly honest, or they're like, you know, looking for shortcuts and everything.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that from the way that they live their life. Like, you'll be able to read it. Like, if they're the type of person who tries to always, you know, find a quick and easy way to make a buck.
Yeah, short term.
Yeah, you definitely know that they're going to be like that in the business, and they're at some point going to be like that with you. So make sure that there's a consistency in the things that they believe, or they say they believe,
And the things
and
that
the things that they actually do.
Yeah.
Secondly, look for someone who is a good communicator, that understands both the importance of listening, because as a manager, you're doing a lot of listening. Like, you have to do a lot of listening. Like, even if you don't agree with something, or if you think that your way might be better, or that you have more experience, or that, you know, it's still important to give your artist the feeling of being heard.
100%.
Definitely.
And take their ideas on board. And then thirdly, I think today it's really important. Like, one of the things that's really important as a manager is an understanding of branding. And
100%.
by branding, I kind of more mean human psychology. So like, branding as a type of understanding of people's behavior and how people will react and engage with your brand. So I guess the easiest way to put it for me is like, if the brand has to be consistent with the artist's personality at all times. And if you have to fake your personality to create your brand, at some point you're not going to be able to sustain that.
Yeah.
And that's when it all starts crumbling down. Like, the Tekashi 6ix9ine is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Where he tried to create this persona that he was this, you know, super respected street dog, and then it all came crashing down around him.
He has pivoted though well. Like, I'm not a Tekashi 6ix9ine fan, but he's definitely like the Donald Trump of the music industry.
He has a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is there's always someone new who's going to get that attention and snatch it away from you.
It's very fleeting.
Yeah.
Because he's a new, like, it's funny you bring him up, because like I talk about him all the time. Like I said, like I'm never going to listen to his music, but I respect his hustle. You know, he knows how to rattle up people. You know, he's getting silenced by people like Spotify and, like, you know, visibility and crush. And he's still somehow getting a lot of organic reach.
Yeah.
I agree with you, definitely. I question the authenticity, or is he just someone who authentically loves attention? Which then is like that sort of weird combination where, because he loves the theatrics, the attention, all that sort of stuff, it becomes authentic by like default, because he's like, that is who he is.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think he was definitely an entertainer. His product isn't necessarily the music. Like, we don't pay attention to him because he makes really interesting music. We pay attention to him because he stirs up havoc. Yeah. Like, it's entertaining to watch. You know what I mean? Like, he fucks shit up.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. Like, you want him, like, you don't want to see him talk about politics. You don't go to him to talk about fashion. You don't go to him to talk about, you just want him to like run amok. And that's the chaos that we love. We just love to watch him be chaotic.
Yeah, but that's the currency that is today, you know, attention. I mean, it's always been attention. There's multiple ways in which you can garner attention. You know, like 1/4's got a real strong following because of who they are, what they stand for, and that also goes within the music behind it as well. And then you got Tekashi 6ix9ine, where his brand is just ridiculousness, and you know, like, fuck the haters. I'm gonna be loud, over the top, neon hair, look like an octopus, and there's people that sort of mash with that, but I feel like that's
not
more
the first either. Like
No.
it's been
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Flavor Flav. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't the greatest. I wasn't really into him in Public Enemy, but he brought that attention. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he
It's
was.
very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, but theatrics do get, you're right, they do get a little bit old. I think as long as you're hitting, if you want to hit the soul as much as you can, like, you know, those songs that sort of stick with you for a decade, 2 decades. Like, I don't know if Goober's going to stick with someone for 2 decades.
Yeah.
I can't see a 35-year-old goobering.
Yeah.
2 weeks, bro.
Yes.
That was done as soon as it came out.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess there's 100%. There's just different approaches, and you got to figure out what's the right one for you.
Yeah, that's 100%. Like, there's no right or wrong way. There's no one formula. It's understanding who you are. Like, if that's you, if you're like, oh man, I'm that person. Like, I can just run amok and and you're committed to that, 100% go do it. But I think the problem starts is when you don't understand who you are, what your brand is, or what you represent, and you try to be all the different things that are, and then it just ends up really messy.
And what's the fine line? Because I mean, like, shit, as we get older, our branding and who we are shifts anyway. And I think a big thing with artists, especially if they haven't got like someone behind them pushing them, that projects can always get delayed. And you know what I mean? Like, oh, the song just isn't ready yet. And there's so many people in the music scene and film, any sort of arts, when there's no deadline, it's like they're those guys who again are talkers, and it's my EP is almost done. It's almost done. It's almost done for the last 18 months.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice? The best advice I ever heard was from Muse, where they were asked, when do you know a song's finished? And the response was when the deadline's hit.
Yeah.
So with you, like, knowing branding, is there an element of figuring it out, or is there an element of trial and error, throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks? And like, I know half the time I don't know who I am until I speak to certain people. And then I'm like, oh, actually, I like that. And that becomes me. With artists and with your 3 artists, when did you know that what their branding is? Or is it a constant trial, error, shift?
I think a good manager knows how to make an artist feel comfortable with themselves, like, first of all, right? And sort of when you establish that, and they trust that you're being honest with them, and and that they're who they want to be, I think then you can reinforce the fact that we constantly change. Like, we're changing creatures. Like, I might feel really strongly about one thing today, and then I'll find out a bit of information tomorrow, and I'm like, oh shit, like, now I changed my mind. Now I'm thinking this.
Yeah.
And when I look at brands, like, brands have to change as the artist grows. So that's why it's important to understand at the start what's the things that are really, 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 really important to you now are not necessarily going to change that much in the next 20 years of your life. Like, if you believe that, loyalty is, really important to you, you're not just going to become this disloyal person like in the next 5 years or the next 10 years. It's something that holds true. So, like, what I try to find in my artists, what's at the core of you? What have you grown up with, like, that you really feel strongly about? And let's start there. The other things, let's start trying to discover what you're about, or like, let's, the things that you're unsure of, like, let's openly talk about that. And I think that leaves room for the brand to grow. But I think don't feel like your brand now is going to be the brand in 20 years.
Because I feel like that's where a lot of artists, like, sort of lose their steam, is they get caught in this trap where it's like, like, they get scared of the change because they're like, oh, people really like this, so how can I change when this is what I know people like? It's like, well, people like that, sure, but like, there was new for them. So you've got all these people that are like, they're invested in your brand, sure, but not because of that one thing. If you changed, a lot of them would probably change with you because they were the ones that came on as well. So it's like, I think, for me personally, I think a lot of the artists like just get caught up in this fact that like, now we have to stay like this. This has to be the box of music that we create. We can't ever change from that. You know what I mean?
No,
But I feel
no,
like that's not, you know, like
And you're always going to get haters too. Like, you know,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
many, like Linkin Park, people are like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not like their old stuff. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you've got 20 years of nostalgia
Yeah.
for the first album.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to overcome that with your latest album, but
100%.
you
Even
know?
bro, even Kanye, you know what I mean? Like so many people would be like, new stuff's just trash.
yeah.
Like,
But then either way, if you don't change your music, they're like, their shit all sounds the same.
Yeah,
So,
you're
like,
not going to make everyone
100%.
happy.
never.
So I think, you've got to be conscious that you are growing, you are
Yeah.
going to change. Things will look different to you, you know, in a few years' time, and that's okay. However, still the core things that your fans fell in love with, the real like deep rooted things, those are kind of always remain constant.
Yeah. What about
100%.
people like, I mean, I'd love to get your opinion on MGK, for example. Starts in rap, now he's doing like pop punk. Like that's not just changing your sound, that's changing your genre. What's your opinion on that? Like, I mean, it's obviously possible, but is it something if like an artist came to you, like, I don't know, I can't really see ONEFOUR doing pop punk, but I mean, like, you know, if someone was like, you know, I just want to completely go left field with something, would your advice be like, let's trial and error? Or is it more like, all right, let's slowly work towards that, or let's just flip it?
If you feel that strongly about it, and that's honestly like what you're feeling as a musician, and that's how you express yourself, go ahead and do it. But have realistic expectations about what's going to happen. You know, you're going to get backlash. You're going to get people who don't like you, or who did like you before, who don't like you now. You're going to get new fans. Like, don't expect everything to remain the same. Things are going to change, and be conscious of it and accept that. Yeah, you know, just be conscious of that. Like going into it.
That's a good thing to think about too, yeah. Because like, I mean, yeah, you'll lose some fans maybe, but you'll also gain some fans maybe that didn't like your rap stuff, and now they like his new stuff. So that's a good thing to think, because I think people are more afraid of losing than what they could gain.
Yeah.
But it comes down to, what are you in it for?
100%.
Like, are you in it just to make music?
Yeah.
If so, man, make as much music as you can. Is it here primarily as a business where it's your main source of income and you're on this mission to make as much money as possible through music? All right, cool. Then you won't really care, like, as long as it's making money. But it comes with your understanding of, why did I get into this? What was my driver? What was the motivation and the purpose behind it? And is that still what it is today, or has it changed? And if it's changed, maybe you've made a whole bag off your last project and you don't need the money anymore, and you're just free to just do what you want.
Yeah.
You know, like, just be honest with yourself about what it is that you're in it for.
Yeah. So there's no right or wrong answer.
No, there's not.
100%.
There isn't.
It's like every artist watching us all manager right now, just
Loaded
going,
question.
oh, I want the answers. Fuck. The answer is there's no answer.
The answer is, be honest with yourself.
Yeah,
100%.
which is fucking hard, because we chase so much. Like, I mean, it's so easy now to chase the quantifiables. You know, like the streams, the likes on Instagram. You know, like, oh, if I show I can get like more likes if I post a booty pic. I mean, you know, but is that valuable? You know, like, what translates to quality? Which
the likes you get for that booty pic doesn't mean you're just going to get extra streams, you know? Like, it's not, you know, it's,
maybe
Yeah, I
your
mean,
booty
like-
pic.
I mean, like, honestly, like, will a page full of booty pics or that kind of content will get you a lot of attention. But is that enough for someone to go out and spend money on merch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it
exactly.
the right attention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
yeah, you get a like and you get followers because they want to see that. But how engaged are they? To what level are they engaged with your brand? Are they going to go out and buy a T-shirt with your name on it because that T-shirt represents a value set that I want people to see me like that? You know what I mean?
want a booty shirt.
Or is it just temporary, like, distraction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a scrolling thing. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So
and then,
the level of likes can be deceiving. The level of your followers is deceiving.
Yeah.
100%.
How engaged are they emotionally to your brand and what you represent?
Is that is something like obviously not the booty pics, but like the content. When like obviously when Becco or ONEFOUR, whichever artist posts, do you guys pay attention to that? Like in terms of like the engagement, sort of like what style of content works best? Like is it the videos that work better, or is it like snippets of tracks or things like that? Is that something you guys really look at, or do you focus more on?
No, we definitely do pay attention. With ONEFOUR, we're just starting to figure out what it is that the fans engage with most.
Yeah.
Mostly because I've now got a social media team.
Yeah.
That understand it. I'm not the biggest social media expert out there. I barely post anything myself.
Yeah.
And if I do, I have to force myself to do it.
So outsource what you don't know, double down on what you do know.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But I do understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
But I just don't have the time to sit there and worry about it all day.
Yeah, that's an important thing because a lot of people get caught up in I have to do everything because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
When
It's like time. How valuable is your time versus how, like how much would you be spending for somebody else to do it?
Yeah.
Whereas how much would you spend time-wise spending, which then equates to money that you'd be learning and then having to do.
focus on what, and probably like just enough, so that they're not like you want. They say you always want to learn like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So you
'cause-
understand at least, yeah.
and so you can't get like dicked over and all
100%.
that sort of stuff.
100%. Like when you do get someone to do it, understand what
they're
that
doing.
should cost
Basics.
and what they're doing for you.
No.
And like you said, like you have to try it yourself at least a few times
Yeah.
before you decide, I'm not good at this. You know what I mean? Like I tried copywriting so many times and it's freaking, fuck, like this is just wasting my time. I'm wasting everyone's time.
I hate copywriting.
Copywriting's great. I like it.
It's the worst.
That's why I do your post now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's speaking of like the time and everything like that. Three artists, well, basically like 6 different personalities, I guess, once you count all ONEFOUR.
Yeah.
How was 3 a number that you were like, I just want 3 artists, or is it just like you got 3 and you're like, this is all right for now, like I can manage this, but
More are you looking for a 4th?
or like is
Definitely not looking for a 4th.
Yeah.
I think after these 3 artists, I'm pretty much done with management in terms of like I'm happy to manage them for the rest of or as long as I need to.
Yeah.
Without stepping into management again.
Yeah, right.
More so because like I'm more interested in the development side of artists rather than the whole career part. Like
Sure.
So you wouldn't want to develop another artist?
I would want to develop another artist, however, not
from a management point of view.
Not from definitely not from a management point of view.
So what's the difference, like in terms of the development versus a management?
I think like having to do all the the early groundwork and like all the negotiation and like all the sort of meetings and
Yeah.
and trying to figure out like does a label like do I really want to work with this label or like all that kind of music business stuff sometimes gets it can be very consuming. Like it can consume like I mean I stopped at 3 because I knew that I couldn't possibly give all my attention to my artists the way they need it if I stretch myself too thin. Like,
For sure.
Eventually, like things will start to suffer. Whether it's my relationship with them, whether it's my work with them, whether it's my personal relationships with my family and my partner, it's just too much.
Yeah.
Like the way I do it anyway. Like I'm very invested in my artists. Like
You come to the majority of the sessions. And
I'm at all the video shoots. Well, I try to be.
Yeah.
I try to be at the sessions, all the creative stuff.
So it's quite time intensive.
Yeah, 100%. Even if they just want to chill and hang out, like I love that ability to do that with my artists. But then when you're just too far stretched, I've seen it so many artists that the quality of work decreases, and it just becomes too much to manage.
Yeah. So again, value, quality, not quantity.
And it's doubling down, like you said, double down on what you're good at.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the best at boardroom negotiations and like squabbling over like money.
Yeah.
Like if we have to argue over money, I'm like,
Yeah.
you take it then. Go.
Yeah.
And that's not the best either. Like
Yeah.
it's not the best attitude to have. But I know that I'm not in there to go and do these crazy negotiations.
So is that more like a? Because I'm trying to think of just anyone who's out there watching it, thinking like, because there's so many different parts to it. Like, you know, you look at obviously Entourage is like the guidebook for acting. Everyone's like, all right, the agent does the contracts and the negotiation, all that. The manager does the personal. With that, like with the music part, is the label sort of like in a way like the RE Gold, like the agency sort of thing, and then you're like the manager's the E part, and then you're worried more about their development, the personality, and then the label's more the
Well,
business guys.
For the most part, it's been mostly me doing all of the roles. But recently, I started working with Patrina Convey, who still works at Sony or has just left Sony. And once I started working with her, she was able to take over a lot of the business negotiation side. I still very much involved, but I let her lead it because I know that she's great at it. And I learn from her to build my confidence at it. It's not something that I'm majorly passionate about. I will do it because sometimes, it's part of my job to do it, but it's not the thing that I'm like, some people love it. They love walking in saying, oh, fuck, I'm ready to go headbutt someone for this money, you know?
The war room.
Yeah. Some people thrive off it, and you know, but that's not me. I'm more the type of person who wants to sit down with the artist and figure out what's going on in their head. Like, what's going on inside you? How do I help you express that? And then, who do we target that towards? Like, who is that person who needs to hear this?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that my time is better used that way.
Yeah, that's smart. Well, I mean, it obviously takes a lot of self-awareness because...
Yeah, 100%.
And do you ever do like sort of sit back and, because I'm liking what you're saying about the qualitative, because again, that's where we get a lot of artists get stuck, and it's like, you know, head in the sand. If I'm not like making beats, if I'm not doing whatever, like I need to be go the whole time, which is reactive mode. And we talk a lot about response rather than react. So that sit back, evaluate. With your artists, do you sort of try and figure out as well, like, all right, what part of the process are you best at? Do we double down on that? Do you sit down with them and sort of nut that stuff out as well? Like, you know, like Becca Hatch, let's just focus on your you just do the lyrics and the singing, for example. I don't know how much she's involved, but in the writing process, but just an example. Like, do you like sort of look at that and go, all right, then let's outsource everything else to Chunky, for example, for a beat, and then just do like a little bit at the end of the working out of the beats, like.
Yeah, with Bex, I guess it was her writing at the start. That she was quite a strong writer, and she'd already been performing quite a bit. So I was like, all right, those two are covered. It's more creating a song that she needs help with. And I guess my approach is like, put people around her who are willing to teach her those things. It's not just like, oh, here, we'll do it for you and keep you in the dark so you need us.
Yeah.
It's like, have people around her who will...
nurture and...
That's it,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why I put it with
God.
Chunky. Like, that's why I put it with you. Is like, when she worked with you, she could see what you were doing. She was like, you were showing her and explaining to her different things about the production side, about songwriting, about like putting a song together.
Yeah.
And then as she learnt, the confidence started to grow. It wasn't just because she was making good songs. It's because she understood every step of the way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, now I know what this is. I don't feel like awkward going into a studio and not knowing anymore. It's like she walks in, she understands. After each session, she just starts accumulating more knowledge.
I really like the fact that you focus on qualitative versus quantitative.
Yeah, I think also like as new artists, understand that you have time to learn everything.
Yeah.
Like it's up to you how much time you want to put into learning, but don't put your new song as a new artist next to Kanye's music and say, oh, why isn't it as good as Kanye's? Because Kanye's had like 20 plus years to get to that level.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So understand that, all right, this is what I can put out with what I know and what I have right now. And as my brand, I'm a new artist. I don't have to make, like orchestral music.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, my fans love me because I'm raw and I'm, and again, it comes from feeling. Like we always say this, like you might not have the best equipment, you might not have the best people around you, but if the feeling is honest and raw and it really connects with people because they're going through the same thing and you're being brutally honest with them, they'll connect with that off that, and they won't. Those new fans that find you probably don't look at music as critically as as we may who work around it.
Yeah.
They're just there because hey, it makes me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
But as you progress, like it's your duty to level up on your knowledge. You know what I mean? To educate yourself and refine your craft, and that will come in time. How fast is up to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how much you want to do it, but don't think that my song has to be perfect before I put it out, or I'll be ridiculed.
But what is perfect anyway? That's the biggest thing for artists. It's like perfect like, shit.
is-
Even yesterday, I don't know whatever our show. What is it? Ozark. Watch it.
Yeah, I have to watch it.
A song came on and it was a Radiohead song, and Stacey's like, "You say I'm a bad singer. This guy is horrible." I'm like, "This is tough. Look, how dare you?" Again, like, but that's the thing. Like, this search for perfection.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, man. Like when I was a kid, like I went to church and like I sang at the choir, and I thoroughly enjoyed music. My parents were like really into music, and I had friends at school, like Fijian boys and Samoan boys, who could sing like just fucking crazy. Like just had the most amazing voices. And at that point, I deaded myself from ever being like a musician.
Yeah.
I was like, I could never sing like this ever. Like I can't sound like Luther Vandross. Like no way. But now we live in an era where actually like you can be Tyler the Creator, not have the greatest voice, or a Mac Miller, but the feeling is there. The emotion is definitely there. They're not technically perfect singers, but they're amazing musicians, and you really can connect with their music. And I think that's a great world that we live in, where things don't have to be technically perfect. Like Persian rugs had to have a flaw in them for them to be considered like, because we're not God. Like you can't make anything perfect. So we're going to intentionally put this flaw in there. Like it's not the tech. Yes, you want to make technically good music where you can. Like there are sort of standards that we hold. However, don't kill yourself if you don't have all that down. Just make honest, music.
Totally agree.
And imperfections too, like that's what they say. Like, what is it? Back in the day, like those where they would have like tape recordings, obviously before computers and everything. And now it's like we're trying to do this loop back because we realize as music got more and more perfect and like all the edges smoothed out, we realized that it wasn't that pleasing. And now they've now created plugins that have that analog feel. So it's like this. Because they know that the way in which those imperfections are what make us click. If everything's quantized and perfectly to the beat, it's not as good as if it's actually a little bit off.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's important to how do you creating imperfections on a computer now is so fucking hard. It's like an art in itself. Like how can I make this not as perfect?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I deal with like on the day to day.
Yeah, you're like, fuck, I'm too good at this.
Well, it's not even that. It's more like, it's that whole thing of like, cool, this sounds good.
Let's fuck it up.
It sounds clean. It sounds really clean. Like and like for me, it's like, okay, that's great, but I don't want it to sound clean. Like I want it. I want it to have a feeling. I want people to be able to like, oh yeah, cool, some guitar chords. It's like, shit, like that's these guitar chords are like, like, oh fuck, like, oh, I can feel like the emotion that he was playing these chords with.
Well, that's why guitar chords are good because you can't make them perfect. Like,
You can.
Oh,
like that's
really?
the problem. Like
that's a bummer.
With melody, like there's like
fucking technology.
There's basically auto-tune for guitars where it separates.
No.
You strum a chord, separates the notes, and you can make them all perfect.
That's disgusting.
I mean, I don't do that because
Why?
I don't want it to be that.
You're
perfect. I
Chunkyluv
want it to-
Santos.
But you know, like it's that whole thing of like you know, a little bit on the wrong timing. Like it's a little bit late, it's a little bit early. Like it's got
that
this
swing.
Yeah. and,
Who's your favorite guitarist, by the way?
it'd be either Carlos Santana
Yeah.
or Paco de Lucia.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I never asked you.
What
that
about
question
Matt
before.
Bellamy?
He's cool, but he wasn't like growing up. It was
Yeah, Carlos Santana's great.
Carlos Santana, Angus Young, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai.
Yeah, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai.
I've got a signed Joe Satriani guitar at home.
Hectic.
That's like my pride and joy. I played once and I'm never playing it again.
Felt like you were inappropriately touching it. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I saw some of the signature rub off. I was like, okay, we're putting that down. But yeah, no, he was definitely somebody I looked up to. BB King as well.
Yeah.
And George Benson. There's too many.
It's funny because like
George Benson
all
and
I know is
Carlos
Carlos
Santana.
Santana.
I'm gonna take that.
Oh man,
I love George Benson.
Yeah.
So good.
That's why the R&B like rings true in you, right?
Yeah. Oh man, I love it. I love it. It's just there's something about like and the way he used to like you know scat and play the notes at the same time. That for me was amazing. It's like you know like singing what you're playing and like that sort of emotion. Sometimes I'll do that when I'm recording solos and things just to see how it would translate if somebody was singing along to see if it makes sense as like somebody singing.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's mad.
sexy.
Yeah.
That's why you're Chunkyluv.
Super nerdy, but that's what we do.
That's a dude. Like good musicians are the biggest nerds that people don't realize.
100%.
Even Travis Scott,
Yeah.
massive nerd.
Solo's a massive nerd.
Solos massive.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
dude, man. He's
Yeah, he nerds out so much over like
Yeah.
equipment and
sending me voice memos the other day, being like, "Bro, this plugin is mad." It's like a 10-second, just like, wow.
that's why I like sitting in the studio with you guys, like
Yeah.
with you, Souls, Wills. It's like I can just sit like a fly on the wall and like listen to you guys talk about like stuff that I have no idea about. But
It's like
just
another language.
Yeah, exactly. But you just absorb that and like you can maybe pick something up and you might sit in a studio with someone like big wig and go, "Hey, this plugin does this."
What's the sausage fattener one?
Oh, bro,
I was like,
sausage
"What?"
It's the best, man. It's the best. I love sausage.
That is the best plugin I think ever created. I don't know what it does. Doesn't it just fatten it?
Sausage fattening does, but the one you're talking about is what is it like?
It's the one where it just like looks like it's
endless
deflated.
endless smile. So
Yes.
it's this dude, and as you turn the knob up, he just starts to smile more.
And his arms go up like it's like as you pull it down, it goes.
And it just basically it acts as like a reverb. So the more you turn it up, is just like it turns more into a reverb.
Yeah,
and
right.
it almost sounds like a reverse reverb into like you know the main thing like a swell.
Yeah, yeah.
Into like the drop of a song.
Yeah, right.
It's great. It's great.
Is that your favorite plugin right now?
No.
Just visually, it's made.
Visually, it's really, really good. I think my favorite plugin is one of the ones I was talking to Solo about the other day. It's called Thermal.
Yeah.
It's by Output, and it's a distortion plugin, but like what it does is just, and the interface, everything is so well designed. And that for me, like obviously, you know, we're looking, when we're in these sessions, especially with people like Willie and Solo, it's like, how quick can you be? How efficient can you be?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
these people have limited amount of time. So
Yeah,
we
100,
want to, you know,
100.
you want to get as much done as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, if I can find a plugin that's easy to use and can get me the sounds I need so that when I take it to them, they don't have to do too much
Yeah.
unless we really want to flip it on its head.
Yeah.
Which is something definitely like, thanks to you that, I obviously work with Willie so much now. It's because I know how his drums sound.
Yeah.
So when I put ideas down, I can sort of emulate those sounds.
Yeah.
So that he gets the idea of where I was going for. You know, so it might not be so much changing the sound itself, but changing the patterns.
Yeah.
Which is some of the things we always do, like speed it up, slow it down.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, fuck, that plugin is something else, man. Jeez, so good, so good.
Cool beans.
Oh,
That's great.
Yeah. Thank you
was
so
fun.
much for coming in, man.
Oh,
I feel like
you're
I
welcome.
learned so much.
Yeah.
It's like a tutorial.
Thanks for having me on.
No,
guys, anytime.
really, it's like for me especially. It's like one thing I wanted to do during this season of the podcast is really go in deeper into like, you know, the things like management and branding and all those aspects of the musician's life that they might not really understand how important it is until it becomes to that point.
Yeah.
and then they have no idea where to go with it. So it's well, me right now, it's super important for my thing.
Yeah.
So like I learn heaps, which
I
I
think,
can take on board.
There's a guy named TK from the UK who runs a label called Finesse Forever. And he posted it recently on his Twitter. He said, like, being a manager, you learn very quickly that managing is about juggling a lot of different moving parts that are moving very fast. And that's where hospitality helped me the most.
100%. Quick thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because people want things and they want it now.
Yeah.
And you're coordinating with so
Or
many
yesterday.
different people. Yeah, with so many different people to make it happen exactly the way they want it, right then and there. And I think if there's one piece of advice that I can give to any manager, it's that. It's like, just understand, like, the biggest skill set you have is being able to manage those moving parts. But don't feel like you have to be Superman. Like, understanding when your stress levels get too high, how to balance yourself and say, hey, it's okay for me to step back and just recalibrate. Like, there were some days where during the week, I don't want to work. Like, I'm just burnt out.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, fuck it. Just tell everyone, like, I'm not working today.
Yeah,
Like,
and sometimes you need that too, because otherwise being stressed, just shit doesn't get done anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
what's the point?
100%. Yeah.
And you end up making more mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
like,
not
yeah,
worth it.
like, doing this work doesn't have to be at the detriment of everything else. Like, it should be in balance with everything else. Like, yeah, you're going to have to sacrifice a few things. You're not going to play as much PlayStation. You're not going to spend too much time in front of Netflix. You're not going to...
Your eyes opened up like you're horrified then. What do you mean?
No, but it's 100%.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice a few things, but
Yeah.
don't feel like
It's all
you have to be
choices.
totally extreme with it either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Cool.
Perfect.
Normally we ask them to shout out their socials, but it doesn't sound like you're a social guy.
Yeah.
no, not
I
really.
mean,
My socials are on private anyway. So.
Ah, sweet.
there
Well
we
then, follow his artist instead, guys.
Follow my artist, 14 Becca Hatch. I am solo. It's the best thing you could do for me.
100%.
thank you so much for coming on, man.
you're welcome.
Thanks very
Appreciate
much,
it.
man. Well, make sure, guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because he's sexy.